Well, it's finally time to do something about Patti's awful bog. First thing I'm going to try is to just wind up the secondary spring a bit tighter. Sure helped Mike up at Eagle River, and well, yeah, it's acting like the secondary just dumps open, and I've never even looked at it yet. So let's see what happens. Here's what we're seeing on Patti. So the belt is sitting a little proud of the sheave. It's a used belt. That's pretty good. Deflection's maybe a little high, but the deflection alone is not what's causing this. We can see that we got a blue spring in that clutch, which ought to engage higher than it is, so maybe that's worn out. The whole clutch looks worn out. You can see the weight's a little cocked on the roller there, and I suspect that clutch is junk. Now, remember, when we did Patti, the goal was to spend the minimum amount of money, and I sure as heck wasn't going to even throw a couple $100 for a rebuild kit into this thing, into the clutch. So, I don't know. I kind of considered the project over now. We're into maintenance mode, and if maintenance means maybe a new primary clutch and maybe a little work on the secondary and get that bog fixed, I think it's probably going to be worth it. So that's what I'm doing today. Here's a little tip and trick for you guys. When you don't have anybody to hold the brake lever when you're trying to open up the secondary, get one of these welding clamps. They work awesome for that. It's absolutely perfect. And this little thing here, I can crank it down, I can loosen it up, I can do whatever with this little handle up here. So I'll put a link to that down below in the description. And when you follow those links, it does help out the channel a little bit. It's not as much as if you did a super thanks, and we love you guys to do those, or become a patron, and you know we love the patrons. But it does do a little something for the channel. So we appreciate it if you follow those if you're going to buy one of these. A couple minutes later and I'm back again. So I don't even have the secondary off yet. I just got the belt off, and I can tell you that that's way too loose. And look at this. The bushing around the helix is garbage. So I'll be fixing both of those. And the more I think about it, I do have a brand new primary in stock, and yeah, I'm just gonna fix it. I don't want to rebuild it. Look, when it comes to rebuilding clutches, you really got to ask yourself if it's worth it. It's a fair amount of time, it's a fair amount of effort. A full rebuild kit isn't cheap, and sometimes at swap meets, you can find clutches for 150 or 200 bucks, basically brand new. If you happen to have one of those, you're set. Don't waste your time rebuilding, because if the post is worn, especially an older post where it's steel colored instead of the black nitrided, they tend to wear more. If that post is worn, you can rebuild the clutch, but the post is still going to be worn. So there you go. I think that's the plan. All right, we're over here next to the XCR here. Don't want to get too tied up on that because Greg will be over in a few minutes to start working on his one lunger. But let's tear into this secondary on Patti. I should have time for that. So I got this fancy press here, and if you're a young guy and you're going, oh, I can't afford that, well, you don't need it. I used to do these all by myself, all the time. If you got any strength at all, you can do it. I'm just getting old and lazy and want to make life easier. So let's see. Oh, that helix is stuck. I got to grab a soft hammer and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I don't want to hammer on this press, but I got to get that helix busted loose. Oh boy. That does not want to move. There, it budged enough. I don't even need the press. The helix is stuck. This is going to be just a picnic to get this thing apart. Nah. Boy, that is a strong snap ring. There we go. All right, now I get the picnic of getting this out. And what I usually do is snap it like that hundreds of times, and eventually the ramps will drive it off. And I can see it's coming. All right, so the coil did its job quite well. I've been kind of working it up and down, and there we go. Just about off right there, but not quite. So I'm continuing to wind it up. So I'm going to tell you, pounding it back in, you do that at your own risk. If it's really stuck and it ain't moving at all, don't pound it in. Let the coil do its work. There we go. So that's how she comes out. That was an exercise. So let's take a look in here. We got a blue spring. I'll look that up in the old Olive Ann book. If you're doing clutching, go buy the Olive Ann book. Best thing you'll ever do. And so let's see how this is. Well, that inner bushing is nowhere near as bad as the outer bushing is. That outer bushing is pretty worn. She's down to the metal backing all the way around. So we'll be getting that out. But first, let's get this separated. Oh boy, there's a lot of rust where the helix has been sitting. There it goes. All right. I dug in my parts stash. I don't have the bushings. I don't have the little sliders for the helix ramp. So I got everything on order, and I'm just going to slap it back together for now so I can move Patti around, and we'll pick this up in a couple days when the parts roll in. All right, so Patti's been sitting here for about 2 weeks. It's about 15 degrees, so we're going to do a little cold start test. Fire her up, Lon.
Yeah, okay, we'll see if this works. Do we need this attached?
No, not on. We don't have the tether hooked up.
Oh, okay.
All right, I heard the pump run. It's done.
You did hear it?
Yep. All right, wait, let the pump run. Okay. Okay, you can't throttle on her. You got to just let it idle now. So we got to get Lonnie used to this RXL quirk.
Darn EFI stuff.
Yep, we got to let Patti just sit here for like 2 minutes. If you throttle on her right away, she just is going to die.
Yeah.
So we'll go back in the shop with the puppies for a little bit.
I like my car.
I don't remember if I mentioned this or not. We're going to go in and fix the bog after Lonnie rides it a little. I'm pretty sure the bog's in the clutches. So, I don't know. Let's ride it, Lon. I've made sure it isn't froze to the ground. It's been idling for 2 or 3 minutes. Should be good.
Right on.
Yeah, I think I can fix that bog pretty easy. Well, Lonnie's having so much fun, I don't know when he's going to stop. Might be a while before I get to work on that sled.
Farley's in the middle of the show.
Go ahead, Dennis. It's your turn. All right. So Dennis just got here and he doesn't know what went on, so we'll bring him up to speed off camera. So I'll finish what I was saying when we had the Bumpus's dogs. Remember from A Christmas Story, the dogs that run through the kitchen and steal the turkey? You know, we had the sort of a Bumpus's dogs moment there. Lonnie's bionic knee's good. And I was going to talk about the clutching on this. So the more astute observers will notice that the Bog was greatly improved.
Yeah.
So I did do something. I took apart the secondary to look at it, see what was up. I did wind it one spring tighter. I never looked at the secondary before. I got some video of that you'll see after I'm done talking. But I did wind it one spring tighter, but as you'll see in the video, the bushings and the buttons are just wasted. Well,
On the primary?
on the secondary.
Oh.
The big bushing on the helix, I should say specifically, is wasted.
Well used or wasted?
Wasted.
Ah, okay.
And the buttons are wasted. This thing's got miles. So we're gonna do that bushing replacement. We're gonna do the buttons, and I hate to spend money on Patti, but I have a primary on the shelf, and this primary is not looking good.
Really?
Yeah, the clutches are just junk.
All right.
And I
Do a full swap.
Yeah, well, rebuild of the secondary, but I hate rebuilding primaries. You know, by the time you bought a good kit and you put the time in, if you shop around, how much more is it? You know, you don't have to go pay full price from Wall Brothers. You can be a hawk on eBay and look at swap meets and stuff. And,
Yeah.
you know, I bought them for as little as $150 in the past, and as much as $300.
Not anymore. These days, oh my gosh. Remember when we were looking for a primary for the purple-headed snow warrior?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, see,
They're hard
but
to come by.
we were looking at Polaris and Wall Brothers. We weren't looking at swap meets and eBay, and that's where you find them for less. And so I'm a hound for swap meets. You guys know this, so I managed to squirrel away a clutch or two for a project such as this.
What I've learned about you at swap meets is you have quite the eye.
Yeah, yeah.
You got your camera going. Whoop! There it is.
Yeah. Yep. True.
Hey, knock it off. You're moving the camera.
All right, we're gonna send these dogs outside and get wrenching.
That might include me.
So I'm back into this clutch. So we're going to replace this big bushing here. And yeah, this does just lift off, but I'm leaving it together for the moment. So I'm going to pull off this aluminum plate because it kind of captures it. And I'm going to pull off these inner bolts. They're just Torx, and I'm just going to use a driver and blast them out of there.
Lonnie, what are you looking at there?
We did this once before. Yeah, that thing is.
We've done it a
shit.
bunch. That inner one's actually pretty tight,
Pretty
but this
tight.
outer one's wasted.
This
and
one's gone.
the buttons are garbage.
So what's the trick in getting this
Yeah.
out?
Okay, so you look for the worst, most stabby screwdriver you have, the one that's poked the most holes in your hand.
Well, we've all got those.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
find the worst one with the thinnest, most deadly blade, and then you look in here and there's a split in the bushing. So you go right next to or through the split and just knock that thing out.
Shouldn't be standing
There we
here.
go.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
That's it.
And where do you put that?
In the trash.
Wow. Yeah.
We'll get it there eventually. So now we're going to clean this up with some Scotch-Brite, and I'm going to find the new part. But even before we do that, I'm going to get these buttons out. So let me find a tool for the buttons quick.
All right. Looks like a little dirtiness going on in there,
Oh,
too.
we got to do
Jeez.
some cleaning. We'll get
It's
the
all
buttons
dirty.
out
It's
before
all
we
dirty.
Lonnie's just warming up the button towers. So Patty's been outside, so this clutch is really cold.
Yep.
It's just to make the plastic on the buttons a little softer. They don't have to get super warm. I don't care if he burns them. We're throwing those buttons away. Let me grab my other tool here, Lonnie.
Yeah.
Hey, John, can you explain what the buttons do?
All right, go.
Yeah,
for it.
those buttons are what the helix slides on. Mm-hmm. These surfaces on the helix slide on the buttons, and these are not quite metal to metal yet, but it's conceivable to see them getting there.
Yeah.
They're pretty worn. They're not as bad as that bushing.
So in theory, they are a wear item.
Yes, and they're replaceable.
Yep.
So here's the next step. Once everything smells good and like plastic,
Good old wood
we're
screw.
just gonna put a wood screw into the button.
And then pull.
And then pull with the vice grip.
I don't know if I can get in there and hold that for you.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Okay, right on.
So buttons on your underwear. Boom.
There we go.
Oh shit, that's a lot longer than I thought it was.
Well, that's how you get a button out.
Oh, that's
There you
what
go.
she looks like, old and
Don't
used up.
2 more times.
Patty's buttons are all used up.
Beer break, then buttons.
I'll say what? Let me show you. Okay, let me show you how this is done.
Yeah, Lonnie showed me.
Yeah, well.
That didn't come loose just from putting the screw in.
So we had one that was
normal.
normal, one that was tough to get out, and the third one just kind of fell out.
Well, two were
I don't know.
two
I'd
were the
say-
same, and the third one wasn't in. But you know the thing is, they don't have to be in there real tight.
Don't let them mess
because
with you.
The helix holds them in, so
Yeah.
Yes.
it's all good.
Okay, you're okay.
So in no particular order, we're going to put the big bushing back in, and then we'll put the buttons back in. The buttons go in super easy. The bushing can
What's
be
that? You got part numbers there?
Oh yeah, this bushing is 3569803 Polaris part. I don't know if aftermarket exists. I just went to the dealer and got this, and I got a bag full of buttons. I got enough bushings and buttons. I didn't go to the dealer. I got this off of eBay. It was a really
Okay.
good price, and I got a bag full of buttons. Now that I think about it, so 5430466 is
And
the
if
buttons.
you don't know the part number, you can find them online.
well,
Like
yeah.
the-
Yeah, so Polaris has a great parts catalog, so that's how I find this stuff on eBay.
Yep.
I look up the Polaris parts catalog, which anybody can look at for free, and it's the genuine Polaris one, not a dealer's.
Yep.
I go and look at that, and then I go search for the number on eBay.
Yeah.
Or at least I know my number if I walk into the dealer, or I think you can order it online from Polaris if you live in the middle of nowhere.
Cool.
So, anyways, this is the 609 Loctite retaining compound.
We all know what that is.
Yeah, well, you and I do, but they may not. So that's the green stuff. Then actually, in a pinch, I have used red high strength Loctite on this, but I always give it just a little bit just to keep that bushing from coming out. And yes, it does make it worse to take out later. But how am I ever going to take it out again on
so
Patti?
old
Hopefully
versus
not.
new, yeah, she's a little beat up here.
Yeah. So
Not
hopefully I'm
too
never
bad,
taking
really.
this bushing out.
This
on
old one's
Patti.
not really that bad, right?
It sure seemed bad. This clutch, this
right,
clutch
this wasn't
felt
sliding?
really bad when I was trying to rotate it.
Okay.
And you could see that the color's completely different.
Oh, yeah.
So this thing had completely worn through, and it didn't
Yeah,
feel
whatever
good.
what kind of coating do they have on that, do you think?
I don't know. It's called a DU bushing. That's the name of.
DU. That's a additive they put on the outside, I believe.
It's this metal backed bushing with this copper underneath it, but then it's got like this light coating of
Yep, DU.
something like Teflon,
Yeah.
Delrin. Those are slippery plastics. If you don't know what Teflon and Delrin are, something like that, nylon, something. So,
Well, it's going to be easy to put in. Just
well,
hammer.
You do have to be gentle, and I'm going to use a soft hammer.
Well, yes.
So if you beat on this thing with a hard hammer, you can start to fold the edges over. Now you got to sand and do a whole bunch of stuff.
Get that the other end in. You're starting to pinch on the.
Yeah, I see that. There we go.
There she goes.
If you're wondering, this works best on a metal table with all kinds of metal objects on it.
All kinds of what objects?
Metal objects. On a
Every
metal table.
object.
You know, well, a torn down XCR 800 motor.
Something that's going to rattle.
A slide rail that I welded up for my buddy. All that kind of stuff, yeah.
And it
All
just
right.
goes flush.
It just goes flush.
There's no snap ring or anything to hold it in.
Well, these screws hold it in that I took out already.
Yep.
But we're not going to put them in until we put the buttons in. So here we go. The buttons just go in. I mean, you will have to force them. They are press fit.
Is this from Greg's project?
That's from the XCR 800.
Okay.
Yeah, you can show them that. That's the ball hone that I used on the
This guy
cylinders.
here.
I explained it and told them what size and what grit and all that already in that video.
Different video.
Yep.
As we
the
all
one
know.
button does just fall right in.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. The other one's got Loctite.
So let's look at an old versus new, if you don't mind, John.
Good job.
You got that one that popped out on you guys?
Let me get this Loctite wiped up quick.
All right.
So you want to see an old button? Here you can
Old
see.
versus new. I mean,
You can see
oh yeah.
it was worn down.
So it is a wear item.
It was
Yep,
basically
totally.
it was getting down to this right here. So they're done when they get there. Change them before you're metal on metal, which is what I did.
Yep. That's probably a big thing that people do is like wait too long to do this type of maintenance.
Yeah, then they wreck their helix,
Yep.
wreck their secondary.
It's not one of those you think about.
No, it's one of those that you look at when you get a really beat up sled like Patti and it isn't working right, and then you finally look at it.
You can't just buy an old sled and run it. Oh, you can.
You can, but it won't make you happy in the long run.
It won't make Patti happy.
Been known to happen.
All right. I'm going to use a steel drift. I don't care what drift you use. Those are plastic.
Okay, so it's just a tap, tap,
Yep, they tap right in.
tap, tap.
It's just,
And the helix technically holds them in.
yeah.
Well, the helix keeps them from falling out.
Yeah. And if you want to make sure that they're in, once you get it all together, you can wind up the clutch and let it snap a couple times, and that'll seat them evenly.
Ooh, the good word, seat.
Yep.
All right, back together we go. The sled. Now what?
This is everybody's favorite part.
Oh, I'm going to stand back.
Yeah, it's not going to go flying. So you got these two tangs. Most people watching this video probably know this, but there'll be somebody that's never done this, so I'm doing it for them.
And we've done this a few
So
times.
there's a hole. You can see right above my finger there, there's a hole. And so you get one of the tangs in that hole. And if you're using some crazy aftermarket spring, you may have to drill that hole bigger. Lord knows I have.
Clean it out. And it's okay if it's oversized.
Yep. And then you got the
It's
holes.
just a capture hole.
Exactly. And then you got the holes in here. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, with 4 being the most aggressive, 1 the least. It was on 1 when I found it. And this is a pretty heavy spring. This is a 36-degree helix. I was looking in there for the mark. So we're going to put this in hole number 2.
Why?
Because 1 wasn't enough before
Right.
when Patti had the bog. And I think 3 might be too much because this is a fairly heavy spring.
So it's just another adjustment we can all make on our sleds.
Yeah, that's the preload. So then you got to get that end of the spring.
This is where it gets...
This is where it gets really not fun. You got to get the end of the spring into that, which,
And obviously, being a spring, it wants some tension on it.
well, no, you just got to get it into the hole, but sometimes you have to give it a little guidance to get it in there.
Which is where the oversizing the hole sometimes beneficial.
Yeah, that helps.
Hey,
Now, Patti shouldn't need any holes oversized.
No, her holes are already oversized.
So the next thing you got to do, there's a keyway in these two parts, and you got to
Get
line
them
up the
lined up.
keyway and put the key in.
Keyway there.
Yeah,
Hey.
that keyway there, yeah.
And that'll keep it all lined up.
Well, but there's more to it than
Yeah,
that.
there's way more to it than
Oh,
that.
that's it.
Now
Now you gotta wind it.
No,
now I'm gonna put it in here to wind it.
In a Chinese contraption.
Well, it works. So I'm just gonna. This will kind of catch in the helix usually. I'm not saying it never goes flying,
Oh, thanks.
but
Yeah, right?
yeah, right there. I mean,
Hey, Greg, you want to hold this?
good enough. And I'm not spending $400 on the Snap-on snap ring pliers.
We can get you a discount down to $390.
What's a good one in a Northern Tool Harbor Freight price range? All right. So that press makes my life way
Did
easier.
you explain what this press was? Or
It's a secondary clutch press.
Yeah.
They can buy it on
find it, look for it.
Amazon, probably. I can put a link in the description. All right, this feels about right. After a while, you just start to do things by feel. So
Especially with Patti.
Especially with Patti. So I'm going to call that a win on the secondary. Secondary is going back in, and we're going to yank the primary off.
Yeehaw.
All right, we're going to attempt to do a swap meet clutch eval. So this would be like you walked up to this clutch at a swap and it's fully assembled.
How much is it for sale?
I don't know. This one's an ugly clutch, but without a doubt, somebody's asking $200.
You're right.
We're gonna check it out. Anyways, first thing you notice, it's got a rusty blue spring in it. She's seen some use. We see some pits in here on the shaft.
Oh, hell yeah.
You're not fixing that real easy, and that's not great for your bushings. We got some pits up in here and rust. And so now we want to check the rollers.
Yeah,
Ooh.
So the spring's pretty stiff, but get in here and check for some side play and roll them. You see what I'm doing? Side to side, roll them. Tons of side play. I've seen worse.
oh, yeah. Like the one on the
That's got
Purple
a lot
Headed
of
Snow
side
Warrior didn't even have those
Yeah,
blowers.
Yeah, they fell apart.
They were gone.
Okay, see this weight is
I
like,
can see that weight's way to one
yeah.
side.
So this clutch is junk. Those weights are probably junk. I imagine the bushings are shot. I mean, this is a rebuildable core. Maybe depends on how that pin's still tight, so it's probably in there. But I don't know. It's not so great. So we'll continue tearing it down. But
If you're going to drive it out to your ice shanty and back every day,
you don't care if you have a bog.
it'll work.
Dennis, what's a shanty?
All right.
All right. Kansas boy.
Continue ripping this apart.
Oh, that spring is shot, dude. Look at that.
But still got a lot of tension. But yeah, it's ugly.
Oh, it's ugly. I don't know if it's shot.
It's going in the scrap metal bin. So now we can start looking at the other bushings, though, with the spring out. Like, that's actually not the worst cover bushing I've seen. It's got some play, but honestly, could be run. And then this one, she's got a lot of play, and there's a lot of play in the buttons. She's not totally junk, but she's not your friend.
There's no time like the present.
Yep, so we're going to knock the weights out next, see what weight they are, for one thing, and see how worn everything looks on the weights. All right. I started to check this out and maybe get the weights out and try to salvage them. This is an abort mission. This weight was stuck. It's stuck down there now. So this weight is stuck. This pin is stuck and doesn't want to turn. This weight has got a lot of play. I'm pretty sure that pin won't turn. And then this one is just got.
Oh,
wow.
loose as shit.
The bushing's wasted.
Yeah.
And you can see the weight doesn't look great. You can see it's wearing funny and stuff. That weight's garbage. So we got to see what the weights say on them now. And they are 05 weights. So I got to see if I have some 05s or what else I might want to use in
What
this.
do they range from?
The 05 is just a number. What everybody should do is buy the Olive A and clutch book because it's got charts of weights and springs. It'll tell you what an 05 weight is. It'll tell you what the Polaris part number is. Okay. You can look up all sorts of stuff. So go buy the Olive A and clutch book. It's fantastic. But that's it. This clutch is done and junk. Right, here's the book. This is not a paid endorsement. I bought this book. Oh boy, I bought it many, many years ago, and just an example. Old. I mean, and there's all kinds of things you'll learn about clutching theory and different things in here. But an 05 weight is 50. An 05 is 53.5 grams.
Okay, so it is all out there.
I doubt I have one. In fact, I'm not even sure I'll have anything in that low 50s range. I'm going to look up what the stock 96 RXL calibration could be because I doubt this is it. Oh, and you know where I'm going to look up the stock RXL calibration? In the Polaris parts list on the Polaris website.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
Yeah, so you could. That's how you find out. You go look up.
There's a lot of stuff in this book, isn't there? Holy cow. Yeah, right. He's studying.
I found some 10A weights, and look at these. 10ALs. And they're nice. The bushings are nice. They're used, but they're not bad. They're 53 grams. In fact, those are the factory calibration. And look at what else I pulled out of my magic bin.
That's a green spring.
That's blue.
Oh, well.
It's a Polaris blue spring. It's
purple.
704 1080. Guys, I shouldn't give away my secrets like this, but Hound Dog eBay. By the way, and if you're thinking about this book, it's not just Polaris. They got sections in there on. They got Skidoo, they got Arctic, they got Yamaha.
The what?
And they got Comet. All sections.
And that book, you believe you can find it online still? Or
easily. And R.I.P. Olin. Greg just told me Olin passed away recently. I got to say, years ago at Heydays, I had the privilege to meet and shoot the shit with Ola Van for a while. And what a great guy. It was awesome to meet a legend like that.
Yeah.
So
that's some good data in there.
Yeah.
Beer break's over.
All right. Here we are. Brand new clutch. Factory calibration. 10AL weights. Brand new blue spring. The weights are used, but they're in nice shape. The bushings are good. Here's the thing you need to know. It's so easy to put the weights in. It's just this pin. Make sure it goes in the right direction and all that. The direction should be that as the motor is running, if the nut came off, the pin would stay in from the rotation. That's the easiest way to remember that. But here's the critical thing. There's an X on the cover here, next to that blue mark. There's an X. Man, it really is new. That's still the inspector's signature. There's an X there. There's actually an X on the movable sheaves. You line up those X's, otherwise your balance is off. These are the balance holes here in the code.
They're balanced at the factory.
They're balanced at the factory, and that's a great thing about a new clutch. You know that's balanced right. So that's it. I'm going to tighten up these cover bolts, and then we'll be back in a bit. One last thing on clutch assembly. Don't strip these bolts out. Lots of people gun them down. Don't gun them down. You don't want to strip them out. Just snug them up with your ratchet.
You don't want to Lonnie those?
You don't want to Lonnie those because if you got to put a helicoil in, well, you're going to have to helicoil every hole or it's going to be out of balance.
So what's the torque spec?
Oh, click. I don't know.
One ugga-dugga?
I go that tight. I go that
No,
tight.
no ugga-duggas.
It's not an ugga-dugga. Okay.
I'm not going.
Tight. See, I would have.
So that one need a little more. I
The
don't
good
know.
old-fashioned hand torque.
The factory service manual, as I've said many times on this YouTube channel, is available for free on vintagesnow.com. It covers all this. And the torque's in there. So if you want to know the torque, you can go to vintagesnow.com, find the factory service manual, and look it up.
Or just hand torque.
We're just showing you here the new clutch. The offset's a perfect match for the old one. Alignment is still good. Nice. But while we're under here, I think we're going to do something about this exhaust. So Eric at Mohawk Salvage donated some exhaust parts for us. We're missing a bracket. We got some butchery going on here. We're missing the little knobber there. We're going to rip this exhaust out and make it more trail worthy.
Eric from where?
Mohawk Salvage in Hibbing, Minnesota. So if you're asking me where to get parts, there's a great place.
Got the springs off it. Oh, all right, there we go.
There we go. So hang on. Let's hold it right there. So see this cut and weld butchery here?
Oh.
That's bad.
They put it at a different angle.
They put it at a different angle, and then this part was sitting, it was not touching that bumper. That's an XLT can bumper. It was just sitting way, way down there where my finger's pointing at that fitting through the belly pan. That's all that was holding it up.
So where's this going?
That's going outside, buddy. She's done for now.
But it might get rusty if I put it outside.
It might.
Huh.
All right, I'm finding a rubber bushing here for this exhaust. It looks a lot like a motor mount bushing. But,
what? Oh, yeah.
But look. It fits. Ish.
Ish.
Kinda.
Sorta.
Ish.
It's a bushing.
It's going to fit ish enough.
We're gonna just cut that part that doesn't fit off. We don't need that. We don't need that.
It was GPS coordinates.
All right, let's show them what's going on first. Details. Oh, we just dropped all the washers. We're looking at it. That's cracked. That's cracked right there. That's a really good thing that Eric sent us a manifold with this. I was worried about the part Dennis's hand is hiding that I welded on, not sealing. But cracks are bad. That's a crack.
All night long.
I flipped this manifold over. That crack's worse than I thought. That's on both sides, the top and the bottom. So that leg is darn near broke off it. Good thing we got a better manifold. All right, here we are with that exhaust from Mohawk Salvage. New W pipe, no cracks. Unmolested main pipe, real good, sitting on the rubber bumper like it should be. This is on its bracket back there. I think Patti's ditch bangable at this time. Now, my yard right now, as you saw on Lonnie's little ride, is just powder. There's no traction. But I think if we get a little traction, hey, Pete, I think maybe she'll dangle. Yeah, we'll try to find some traction for her. Hopefully we get enough snow and pack something down. All right, it's a patron pizza moment over here with me and Details.
Thank you.
Details cooked the pizza tonight. Thanks.
Took a little bit because it wasn't plugged in at first.
I've been doing some welding. We didn't notice it was unplugged. Thanks, patrons. I'm out here warming up Patti. All the clutch work's done. Let's find out about this bog. Well, I'm not surprised it's bogging. I mean, it's engaging at 3,800, maybe 4,000. Way too low. I want to see a lot higher than that. So, back to the good old Olaf book, and let me put on my cheats and read some things to you. So, the blue spring, dark blue it calls it, is a 120-300. Now, I don't want to go a lot higher on the top number. It's holding right about 8,000 RPMs. I'm good with that. But I do want to go higher on the engagement number. So I dug around and I found this. So that's an almond red. So that's a 165-310. So that's going to raise the engagement, but it's not going to push the top end over the top. Oh, my glass is all crooked. Yep. So I'm going to pull the primary off and we'll swap in this spring and we'll see how she behaves. Well, you might be asking, why is Patti on her side? Well, trying to get this clutch off to change the spring, as I discussed, and it's just laughing at me and my puller and everything else. Here's the answer. This is a 3/4 16 bolt with some Teflon tape on it, and got some water here. So what I'm going to do is fill up the clutch, where the puller goes, where the clutch bolt goes, fill it up with water, screw in this bolt, and let it sit overnight and let the laws of physics do their thing. And as that water freezes, it's going to push the clutch off. I guarantee it. All right. So that bolt is just finger tight. Teflon's pretty far down in there. And you can see the clutch is all wet. That doesn't matter. That won't hurt anything. And we'll come back and look at it in the morning. All right, so when I'm alone, it gets a little easier if I just put a belt in here, slip it all the way in. Helps hold that movable up. There's the X, there's the other X. So we line those up and we press down. Always start your bolts by hand. So there we go. No problem. Changing the spring. Great, it's Saturday morning. I got Patti warming up outside. You might even be able to hear her in the background. That almond red spring is in with the stock 10AL weights. stock 36-degree helix and the blue spring that was in it when I got it. Let's take her for a rip and see how she performs. That almond red spring sure seems to be just what Patti needed. That bog is gone. Of course, you are going to have a bog when you engage at 3,800 RPMs. That's what it was with that blue spring. The almond red seems to have added almost 1,000 RPMs to that. I'm seeing 46 to 48, depending on how I tickle the throttle. So I'm pretty happy with that. This is a little high for maybe when I put a beginner on her, but Matt's a big boy and he'll be able to handle her. So let's see, what else? Couldn't make her dangle today. There's no traction. That's just the snow conditions. The snow we got's pretty light, pretty fluffy. It's been super cold. The ground is frozen and hard as a rock. There's nothing for the track to bite into. So sorry, Pete, couldn't make her dangle today. She will dangle when she gets some traction, though. Let's talk about hitting subscribe. Please hit subscribe. So I looked at my YouTube stats and there's been 25,000 unique viewers. 25,000 different people have looked at this channel in the last 28 days, but I've only got 7,500 subscribers. So if you're watching this and you're enjoying the vintage sled content, please hit subscribe and help me out. It really helps the channel grow, helps the YouTube algorithm spread it around to more people. Even if you're watching on a TV, there is a way to subscribe to the channel, and you probably have to use your arrows and go down to the bottom. There's some videos, other videos on YouTube on how to do that. In fact, one guy even said you can send a super thanks from your TV. So that'd be great if you did that. And speaking of super thanks, really appreciate everybody that sent us a super thanks. Really helps the channel. Super thanks makes the YouTube algorithm go crazy. The algorithm, after all, is looking for money. And when you send a super thanks, you're sending money, and it makes that algorithm really happy. And it's really helped the channel the last couple months. So anyways, I don't necessarily put the videos out in the order they were filmed, but everybody that's given me a super thanks in the last week or two, since whenever I'm editing this and putting it out there, your name will be up on the screen. If it was like a month ago, your name's already been on the screen. Like I said, they don't necessarily come out in the order that you think they are, because there's a lot of times I've got multiple videos going at the same time and I'm piecing them together as I get time. So huge thanks to the patrons. You guys are the best. So the patrons keep us going year-round with a small donation of $5 or $10 a month, and they chip in. They help us with the beer and the pizza and the parts and the spark plugs and the belts and all the stuff we need to keep this channel going. It's not cheap doing this, and I'm definitely buying and building more sleds than I would if I wasn't doing this YouTube. So patrons, you're greatly appreciated, and everybody else, you can see their names up on the screen, and also in return for their donation, they get to see all the videos early. They get to watch them ad-free on the Patreon, and sometimes they get patron-only, like, posts, pictures, videos. It's all really good. So really huge thanks to the patrons. So snow conditions here, we got enough. We're going to go for a ditch bang today. I've already done one ditch bang this season, but it's coming to an end. I looked in the long range forecast and things are going to melt down in about 10 days. So pray for snow. We need more snow. It's only middle of February right now. So anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the trails.